very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. Joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Filed away for later consumption.
Your co-host, Julie.
Hey there, how you doing?
Your co-host, Thorsten.
Well, everything I learned in life, I learned from Microsoft manuals, Microprose manuals.
Yes.
Microsoft. Why?
It's okay. They're very easy to get mixed up in your brain. Also joining us is your co-host, David.
Still waiting for that new coffee maker in engineering.
Sadly, Jacob isn't able to join us today. He's got some university stuff going on, which is, completely fair. School first, we try to say. School always first. Some people say family first. Screw that. School first. Sorry. So, friends, today's topic is documentation, and this came up because I loved our reactions to last week's game having a manual. Like, we were all shocked and surprised, pleasantly so, that last week's game, which was Astra Protocol 2.
Astra Protocol 2.
Astra Protocol 2. That was last week's game. It has a questionable manual. It's a great manual, to be fair. It's a fun read, but it's written in universe, so its usefulness is not it's questionable because it's a rough manual, but it's purposely so.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
No, I loved it too. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's written in a way to not make the game easy. Like, a lot of manuals are written to make a game, easier to grok, and that's not the purpose of this manual at all. So after the show, I'm like, we've never really talked about manuals. And if y'all know me, I love a good printed manual or strategy guide. I'm addicted to them. Like right now, I'm reading the Tornado manual just for funsies. Hey, what happened to the video? Oh, there it is. I'm reading the 330 plus page manual of Tornado just for fun. Like, it's my bathroom reading right now, basically. Because I love that manual. It's a fun manual to read. So I wanted to have a broad discussion about documentation, and then I wanted to talk about some favorites. So I have a question for my. I'm going to be interviewing my co-hosts, and you guys in the chat can also answer these questions. So I want to ask, and you guys can answer in any order. We're not doing like a roundtable thing. This is just an overall conversation. What is the first game you remember getting with a manual? And I will start. The first game I remember getting with like a serious manual that wasn't just an insert, I believe it was the B-17 game for Intellivision, if I'm remembering correctly. That's how far back this can go. That's how far back this can go. That game was, for being a console game about a B-17 bomber, it was for its time, especially. It was kind of a serious game for 1982, I think. 1982. And I recall enjoying reading the manual. The game was fairly complicated for an Intellivision game, but the manual was really fun to read. So, what about you guys? Do you remember the first game in which came with something, and more than just an insert? You know what I mean? Like an actual manual that was interesting to read. Do you guys have any memory of what your first game with a interesting manual might have been?
Good
I've got
question.
one.
Okay.
I do actually have one. So I still have my copy of Ultima 3
Ooh.
for the Atari.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
it came with a cloth map.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm linking the map. And it looks like that. That's actually the original version of
Oh,
the map.
look
There's
at that.
a later cloth version that was released. And
In
some of
cloth?
the later games had paper manuals, but this one actually, or paper maps, but this one actually had a cloth map that was included.
Oh
crap.
man.
And the other thing is, the manual notes that the map maker died before any of the locations could actually be placed on the map. So what they tell you is to use pins to mark the locations of the cities and towns on the map.
Ruining your map in the
Right.
process, basically. Just basically.
Wow.
Well, using pins, not pens, but using like thumbtack pins to mark the actual locations on the map. That's what they said to do. I didn't do that.
I was gonna say, please
Mine
tell me you
is-
did not do that, because that would
No,
poking
no, I
all
did
those
not.
holes in the. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, but you can see at the bottom of it shows the phases of the moon, which
God,
matters
look at that.
for using the moon gates to travel around the map.
Oh.
It has the cities there. They're not translated into English, so you have to figure out what they are. Yeah, it's
Oh
that's
God.
something that
Damn.
yeah, that's probably my first significant insert with a game, and
Oh.
I still have it to this day.
Oh man, that is.
83? Is that right?
I got the game in 85, if I'm not mistaken. And
Oh, wow.
and the versions that came afterward, from 86 and onward, the printings that came afterward had a different colored map that was more yellow in color. And because of that, it was more washed out and it was harder to read the runes on the sides.
Wow. that is amazing. That is I miss when games came like that. There was a game, I think it was some kind of King Arthur game for Infocom, that it was one of their first like more graphical point and click adventure games. It was still mostly text based, but you could actually use a mouse with it. It came with a cloth map. It came with crystals that you would use in the actual game. Just God, back in the day when the games came with inserts, not just the manual, but like cloth maps. Or one of my favorite things, just a side note, is Starflight came with like the copy protection wheel. A lot that was popular at the time. It was a wheel that you had to spin and it would show the word that you would use. to
Yeah, it would ask for a certain word and
to pass the copy protection. So I miss stuff like that. I miss.
I mean, all the Infocom games. The amount of stuff you got with those games was staggering. It's so sad that doesn't exist anymore today. Nowadays.
Yeah.
I miss it so much.
Unless you want to pay $200 for a collector's edition that comes with a statue and some patches and what.
And all of that stuff isn't that great.
A lot of times it isn't. Like, I kind of regret not getting the Titanfall 2 special edition that comes with the helmet. I don't know if it would have fit on my giant head, but there's a part of me that still wants that helmet. You know? But not for hundreds of dollars. My wife would kill me. She would literally kill me. Okay, so that's a great answer, Spaz. What about you guys? God, I'm not good at this. Any of the rest of you remember your first good manual?
Wow. Okay. I try to continue. It was similar to Spaz 2 in 1985, and it was actually 3 games with. It was the original Skyfox manual. I mean, it wasn't much more than a small inlet, but it was written in Universe 2, and when I first got it, I couldn't stop reading it, to be honest. I mean, what do you expect at that age and time? The first real, I couldn't call it manual, was where the 2 poster inlets for Solo Flight 2, the second edition of Solo Flight from Microprose. They didn't have real manuals back then. They used poster-like type of things, but they were full of information about the game, about aerodynamics and all that stuff. Silent Service, the original Silent Service had a similar type of manual in, and it did came quite in the same fashion. Let's put it that way. The Silent Service manual. The Silent Service manual actually had a lot of information about the submarine warfare of the US in the Pacific that we in Europe didn't know much about.
Oh wow!
That came totally new to me, and was highly interesting, given how much info you got new by this manual. But the first real manual I got was the one from the original Elite, which was also written in game.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I remember that one.
And there was also a novel, by the way, that was in the box. And man,
there was a novel in the box? See,
there was a novel, yeah.
See, my first Elite was Elite Plus, which came out in 89, 88, 89. It didn't have a novel.
Yeah. No, the original one had a novel.
Oh, damn.
If I recall it right, you can even read it online right now.
I'm gonna have to find that. I'm gonna have to find that.
No, I've linked it when I've finished speaking. But those 3 were my first 3 in this regard.
Wow.
And all 3 I hold in a crate. I reverse them really. I should build a shrine or something in the living room and pray to them. There was another one, and maybe Spess wants to talk about that later on, and that was the stuff that came with the original Mercenary. That was also great and in universe.
Mercenary,
yeah. I talked about it on the show before. Just real quick, I'll go into it. Played it on the Atari. It actually had a sequel. You are playing as a mercenary who crash lands on a planet, and your goal is to make enough money to buy a ship that will let you get through the planetary shield and leave. It was vector graphics, first person. So you had stuff you could do on foot. You could get into vehicles and travel around.
Holy crap.
You could find ships that you could get into to travel around as well, but you could easily crash and find yourself lost. It was a really interesting game.
It never made it to DOS. That's why I never played it. It never made it to DOS.
Yeah, it was an Atari game primarily. Yeah.
Yeah. Atari, Commodore, Spectrum, and Amstrad. That was pretty much it. Yeah, no DOS. Sequel 2, and also not DOS. It's a shame. This looks amazing for 1985. Oh my god.
I guess that was the first real open world game.
Maybe.
One of the first, if not the first that I can think of. Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
Wow. That looks astounding for 1985. Oh my god. Absolutely mind-blowing. Damn.
Yeah, and the fact that you're in first person on foot means that you're walking around in real time. So you're going into these underground bases, and you're walking through these corridors, long corridors, and you're walking through them in real time. So getting around can take a while until you can get some vehicles. You're lucky enough to find one.
Oh, so
And
you
of course, you can crash into things and lose your vehicle.
Oh, but you don't die if you crash, or do you eject, or
You eject. You
Okay.
eject, but you lose the vehicle, and then you might be stranded quite a way away on foot from wherever you were,
Oh,
and may not have any idea. Yeah.
I don't know if people would have the patience for that now, but back in 1985, when you played 1 or 2 games a year, that sounds terrific.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
Oh, man.
I think I completed a game once.
Yeah, this does not sound like a game you go back to.
Well, it took a long time.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like it takes a long. I mean, if it's it looks like it models a whole planet. You could like walk around
Pretty much.
just
Yeah.
about the. Oh my
The whole
god.
planet. Yeah.
I'm kind of sad this never made it to. I wonder if you could play this through an emulator today. This might be one to add to the list. I don't know though.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't want to spend a whole stream walking. You know what I mean? Trying to find a vehicle.
You could spend half an hour walking from one end of a corridor to another.
Oh god.
And you had all these puzzles to solve that would require different keys.
Oh,
Like you needed a different. So the keys were big objects, almost human sized. But of course they were just shapes in vector form, and you'd have to pick those up in order to bring them to the right doors. In order to open those doors, and they could be on the other side of the facility. So you're walking all around. You get lost easily. Yeah, it's very, very immersive though because of that. Yeah.
wow.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh
It's a-
man. All right. So we got Spaz, we got Thorsten, Julie or David. Do you guys have an answer to if you don't, that's fine. If you don't have an answer to the question, that's fine.
I've got something, believe
Okay,
it or
great.
I
not.
have something.
Okay. Julie, you go first.
All right. At this point, I thought I'd have nothing to contribute, but then I looked over my head and there was this dust. I actually had to blow the dust off. It was long before a Japanese company had all the rights to it. And this was when it was run by Bill Roper in the original Flagship Studios. And this is this is Hellgate London, the game that sunk the Flagship. And we had Bill Roper on the other show after this company had gone down the toilet. And I said, surely this came with a manual. And there's this manual back when things came with actual little manuals. As I said earlier, most of the games back when they were a thing, I was more concerned about the United States, not getting kicked out of the United States Army or grad school. And but it told all about this game and all about all the little demons, because it was supposed to be after the world was taken over by demons, and it's set in the subways of London. And the interesting thing here is at the very end of this manual, what it doesn't tell you is the game came out the door half finished, literally half finished, because when you finish this game, and I told everybody, I got partway through it, and I said, well, I thought the level cap was whatever it was, and I was halfway there, and they said, where's the rest of the content? And they said, now you just do everything again on hard. And I said, that's it? Seriously? Their answer to finishing the game was just say, finish the first half again on hard? And I said, it's no wonder Hellgate London is the game that sunk the Flagship. But I actually had a manual, and I'll save the other story for later.
That's I never owned a physical copy of Hellgate. I was gonna get it, and then I read the reviews and just avoided it. And I've played the updated version by the new company, and it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But
well, at least in the suburbs of Chicago, when it first came out, it was like this advertising blitz. The signs were everywhere where, they shot my whatever, I'm going to London. Oh, they did this to me and I'm going to London. So you couldn't help but seeing it. It was everywhere. And I saw this and, and so I got in contact with, after this was no longer a thing, we got in contact with Bill Roper, and we made sure we didn't ask him about it because we thought it would be a touchy subject. So, but it was good for the first half of the game.
Pretty much the only half, it sounds like.
And now I got myself covered with dust getting this manual down. But yes, I do have a game with a manual on it.
All right, David, you're the last one to answer this question, I guess.
Well, I'm still thinking hard here about which one was the real first. So I think it is actually a game I've been talking about before. No, it's not Armored Core. Calm down. It's not that.
No.
And it's actually
That's funny.
Well, I am pretty sure it is Commander Privateer 1. I'm pretty sure. Definitely not a legal copy because the manual was printed on a bunch of A4 papers.
Oh,
So, but yeah, little baby David, 6 years old, flipped through that manual so many freaking times. I didn't understand English at the time, but I like the pictures. Remember pictures and manuals? Oh, I remember those. I could watch the pretty spaceships and weapons that you could equip on the ships. Oh, wow. So yeah, it was nice, I suppose. But yeah, I didn't really understand it at the time. But yeah, I definitely remember that freaking printed manual. Completely legit copy. Yeah.
On A4 probably paper. Not. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you bought the game? Do you remember where you got your copy of it?
No. It was not mine. It was my oldest brother. So, and he's about, I think he is at least 8 years older than me or something like that. It's kind of significant, the age between me and my two brothers.
Wow.
So yeah, he had fun playing that, and I watched. But when he was playing, I flipped through the manual, even though I didn't understand anything. But I like to play the pictures.
Man. That's nice, Nash. Yeah, this game has a lot of the game that is on the stream is called Rules of Engagement 2, and yeah, it's got one hell of a UI. It's if you want more UI, you can't find a game this game is pretty much entirely UI. That's really what this game is entirely UI. So my next question, if y'all can remember, is what is probably the most fun manual you've ever read? And I will start while you guys think of your answers. And that is a tough one for me. I've been chewing on this one for a couple of days because I tried to think of questions to ask for you. I'm like, how would I answer this? And it's tough because there's so many good manuals I love to read, but I think the manual I had the most fun reading was probably F-19 Stealth Fighter. I read somewhere that that's one of the Microprose games where they told the people writing the manual, don't worry about how much it costs. Just write the best manual you can. And you can kind of tell all the Microprose manuals are fun to read. But you can kind of see the difference in like F-19 versus the manuals that came after. They're just not as great. And I've read the F-19 manual cover to cover at least a dozen times, if not more, because it's just fun to read, and it's really well written, and it's just, oh my god, so joyous. I mean, the game itself is also amazing. Let's be fair, but that is probably the most fun I've ever had. Reading a manual is probably F-19, even to this day. And I love all kinds of manuals. F-19 is not even my favorite all-time manual, but for most fun, I think probably F-19. What about you guys? You guys have any manuals that you remember being probably the most fun to read?
Maybe.
Go ahead.
But I would like to see if anyone else have something.
You were the first one. You were the first one to chime in. So.
Oh, okay. I have been trying to flip through I've been flipping through this manual here while you've been talking here, and that's gonna be. Let's see here. Let's see. Wait. And that's gonna be a game that I bought at the very beginning of the 2000s. So I were there with my parents. We went with a boat to Finland. We often do that during the autumn. Going on a cruise ship. On the cruise ship, there's a electronics store where we can buy headsets and whatever. And at some point, they also sold games. And since
so wait, this is on a cruise ship.
Yes.
Was there a place on board you could play these games, or did you
No.
Oh, that's interesting. So they sold games for the PlayStation, but there were no PlayStations on board.
Exactly.
Okay. So, all right. Sure. Why not?
So yeah, I watched the box for the game. Let's see. So I'm not.
I have never heard of this game.
Yes, I watched the box there. Like, oh, what is this? Oh, it's Psygnosis game. What is this? The actual box comes in Swedish. What the heck is this? Because we Swedes are pretty used to seeing all the boxes in English. So at one point they actually tried to translate the boxes and stuff, so that we got like a manual in Swedish as well. So, but I was looking at the box there. I brought my own money to the ship as well. Age 15. I'm 13 by now. I could probably play this. It looks like a cute game. Oh God, I were in for a grim surprise. So in the school grounds, it was kind of cool to be swearing and all that stuff. Watching American action movies with some slang thrown in there. So when I open up this manual, there's so much swearing everywhere in Sweden.
Really?
It's kind of crazy. I'm watching through it right now here. Like, oh, you press this button to quit the game, you coward, and some more stuff like that. It's in Universe Spreading or something like that. And at one page there is even saying I can't really find it right now, but I can at least see that exact page here. Like pretty early in that manual, it is listing that. Oh yeah, flip to page blah 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 for free sex. And 13-year-old me were like, wait, what? What have I bought? What is this? Should I even flip through this manual? I guess I'll flip through this. But what is this? A little confused, David there. So I get to that page, and it just says on the plain white black background, plain black text on the white plain background. Hey, free sex! You got her, didn't you? Fool, or something like that.
Oh my God! So the game is called Team Buddies. I've never heard of it, and oh my God, dude, it is being sold for gangbusters on eBay. I was just curious. The cheapest price is $150. And that's without a manual. and
I have a manual here in Swedish, so I wonder what that is worth.
If you want it brand new, you're looking at over $400.
Oh, holy crap! Oh, okay.
I know. I've never heard of this game, and apparently the demand is quite high, or maybe the supply is quite low. I don't know, but my God, my God.
So yeah, about the game, it was a pretty weird top-down shooter with real-time strategy elements. Very weird thing. Oh. So you build your buddies, as the name is called, and then you can arm them with different weapons and build vehicles, and then you have a campaign to go through. And every chapter you get one of these very 2000s short animatics or animations when you get through a chapter. You can find it on YouTube. Some of them are a little bit suggestive, I suppose. Some of them are quite violent, even though there's no blood. Oh yeah, and there's a lot of swearing in the game. A lot of swearing.
Wow, these guys only made 4 games. The folks that made Team Buddies, they only made 4 games, only one of which I've heard of, and that's called Dropship United Peace Force. which came out for the PlayStation 2. That was their last game.
Speaking of dropship, I have a small trivia about that game. You can enter cheat codes in that game, and one of the cheat codes in that game is, if I remember the name, is Blast Radius, which is one of the studio earlier games, and the average cheat was Team Buddies.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what they did.
Those are their two other those are two of their other games. That is exactly correct.
Oh yeah, there it is. I see it there on mobile games. Look at that.
That's funny.
So yeah, that's my weird pick. Emmanuel, I clearly remember, and the 13-year-old, they were being real confused. What the hell did I just buy?
Well, you enjoyed it apparently.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you still have your copy of the game? Because you can make some bank with it if you need to. Oh my god!
I have it here actually. I'm holding it here in my hand. The box is a little bit cracked though. Maybe I dropped it at some point. But
so maybe you can only get 100 for it instead of 150.
Oh no!
Don't sell it. Don't sell it. Let's not do that. Let's not.
I guess my Armored Core 1 copy is worth more. I don't know.
Oh wow!
Probably.
But yeah, and we were talking about Team Buddies, not Armored Core. So
we can bring up Armored Core. It's fine. We can bring up Armored Core. It's fine. There's a lot of love for it. It's not coming from a place of malice, so I can't be upset when you bring up a game you love. It'd be silly. All right, so Thorsten, Spaz, or Jewel, you guys got any memories of maybe what your most fun manual to read might be?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
It's from a game that was actually released by Electronic Arts. Well, the copy that I got back in '86.
Ooh.
Game called Age of Adventure for the Atari 800, for my copy anyway. Now it was actually two games. The disc was double-sided. So on one side you had The Return of Heracles, and on the other side it was Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. And the idea is that you're playing through on Return of Heracles, you're playing through in Greece, and you are going through using heroes from Greek mythology and going through and playing through the labors of Heracles. Going through the 12 labors, and there's a whole bunch of named characters from the mythology. And then on the other side of the disc, of course, there's Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, as I mentioned, but the manual had it was large enough because of the size of the it's not a box. It was actually the way that EA released their games back then was it came in a double-sided vinyl sleeve.
Yeah, like Starflight. It came in these like record style these record style sleeves where like back in the day, if an album came on more than one album, it would be like this giant fold out of a thing. And you'd have 2 or 3 vinyls in there. And they're these big flat things. And that's how the old EA games came back in the day. These big flat vinyl style boxes that were just terrific.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and in this case, the front of it had a little notch that had the manual in, and then there was a notch for the disc, and then you had a little, depending on the game, like Age of Adventure or 7 Cities of Gold, which was another one that I also own. I still have both of them, by the way. But the manual for this one was interesting because it had biographies of characters from the mythologies, both of them, and giving you an idea of who these characters were and how to use them in either battle or in outwitting the threats that are being faced by you, which was really interesting because it wasn't just about the combat.
Oh. I actually remember seeing this box in the store back in the day because the cover of it, I mean, it was an EA game, so of course I was interested, and I was sad that it never came on DOS. But the cover of it was very evocative back in the day. It had this muscly arm with a giant knife, and it really looked like an exciting game. I was sad I never got to play it. But yeah, that looks really great. Apparently, it was made for some kind of construction set, or hang on.
On that, I am not too sure. But one thing that that was also interesting about it was co-op.
It was?
What?
Yeah. It was one of the few games that were that of that time that was designed to be co-op. That you could assign characters to either player 1 or player 2.
What?
And so when their turn came up to do a thing, either moving around or fighting, etc., that character, whoever had the joystick for that, for either player 1 or player 2, would actually have to do all the movements and decide what actions they were going to take.
Oh, that's bananas.
Yeah.
Wow, local co-op back in the mid 80s. I linked a thing in the stream chat. Apparently, the guy who made Age of Adventure made an adventure construction set that was kind of a follow up to this game, this Age of Adventure.
Got it. Okay, I see that on the Moby Games page as well for Age of Adventure. I see it linked.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when EA would release they released this, and they released like a pinball table creation game, I think, back in the day. I miss the old EA.
Don't we all?
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Man, when they made such good games back then. Oh my God. So who haven't we heard from for this question? I think we haven't heard from Julie or Thorsten. Do you guys have an answer? If you don't have an answer, that's fine. If you don't have an answer, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We can move on.
I've got kind of an answer
okay.
I can share.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
First off, I've had a few. My sister came home once with this Guild Wars, and it still sits behind me, and it's a Guild Wars Collection Edition. And it has a foot-tall character of one of the main characters from Guild Wars 2, and it came with an art book, so I think that kind of qualifies as a manual. And I just love the artwork in the game, and I used to play it with a lot of people, but the static group kind of fell apart. I have another story I can tell about Mist, or I can wait till later in the podcast.
That's fine.
All right. Well, the deal is this. Now, there's this game Fran and I have both played, and it all started out before we actually even met each other. And the game is, I'll link it here in chat here. Hang on just a second. Bear with me while my fingers work here. There we go. It's called Myst, M-Y-S-T.
Oh, God.
And for those of you who haven't heard of this game before, it's been around for a long time. And I don't know.
I don't know if there's anyone around who hasn't at least heard of Myst by this point. It was such a phenomenon.
The game the artwork has improved over the years, and it is just stunning. However, the thing is, and I didn't do what Fran and her friends did, is I just hurled up my hands and said I can't do it, because this book, I mean, the game is trying to figure out the puzzles is sort of reminiscent of when I was told I had to learn how to do linear regression by hand in advanced statistics. It's like pounding your head against a brick wall. It is some of the most difficult puzzles I've ever had to figure out, and I couldn't do it. And Fran reached the point where she and her friends couldn't do it, and they bought the manual, and they worked their way through it, and they finished the game. The game still sits above above me on the shelf, right next to the little box that turns out it really did have a manual in it. So there's two things. The manual I really enjoyed was the artwork, which I've always enjoyed. It used to come as hard books, and now it just comes as electronic books. But there's some games I just love the artwork, and this is one of them. So it's the kind of thing where I say, well, I'm going to buy it for the artwork and enjoy it, and then when I get tired of pounding my head against the wall, I'm going to rage quit. So there you go.
Oh, God. Jolie, did you ever play the game sequel, Riven?
No, I never did. I know of it. I have not played it, nor did I purchase it. This is like, again, the game is so frustrating. It's like my statistics instructor said, hey, now you know how to do linear regression by hand. Let's take up quantum physics. And I would say, let's not. And I said, at this point, I have a computer, and I can look up the artwork of Riven all on my own and enjoy it without having to pound my head against a brick wall of puzzles. Now, that said, I am not averse to games with puzzles. I do play them. And ever since that movie Tetris came out about the history, I've been on, as I've mentioned before, kind of on this Tetris kick. And Tetris.
That's a good kick to be on.
It is, and I don't want my brain to gel when and if I retire. So
I never finished Myst either. I tried and I couldn't get past like the second puzzle. And
it's tough.
One of our former co-hosts, Hunter, he'd like finished every game in the series. He's like a huge fan of like that studio and every game they've made. And I'm like, wow, you must be either smarter than me or better at puzzles than me, because I wanted to throw that disc out the window, which is funny because back then that was like one of the first games to come on CD ever back in the day, and I wanted to throw that disc out the window. I hated it.
I've got it on CD back when games came with CDs, and now the thing is, I've got these games that all came with CDs, and I couldn't. And some of them depend on you inserting a disc, like the Hellgate London. I couldn't play it if my life depended on it because computers no longer have a way of inserting a CD unless you pry the back cover over and kind of jam it in between.
No. You can get an external one. Yeah, external. I have an external. They're not expensive if you just get a DVD drive. They're like $20, and they're USB.
Yeah, if you want a Blu-ray drive, it's probably about $100.
Yeah, I got one for my birthday, a Blu-ray drive. It needs 2 USB ports just to power the damn thing. Side note.
Well, see, but the problem I also have is I have an old Transformers game, and it's like you can log it on through your Steam account, which I did. But then I tried to play it the other day, and it said insert disc, and I said, "Crap, I don't have it anymore."
Oh crap!
Yeah, but that's the thing. I do still have a lot of games that, and I've enjoyed them over the years. But I do like some puzzle games, but my thing is after spending a day of trying to dig other people's fat out of the fire after things have come to a crashing halt, I kind of like. I got to be in the mood for a puzzle game, and this one was just too difficult. But the artwork is beautiful, stunning. So big grants to the people who made the Cyan Worlds,
Yeah, it's a gorgeous game, at least. Thorsten, do you have an answer to the question, or should we move on?
Oh my God, I hope you've got time on.
Go.
No, seriously. If I have to think about manuals that I still like to read afterwards.
Well, it doesn't have to be that. It could be whatever the one you had the most fun reading back in the day. Even.
Yeah, but still, there are so many. No, seriously. Okay, I try to start and be fast enough to not to waste your time too much. Okay, let's start with all 3 original Elite games until First Encounters. all manuals. I still enjoyed reading them back then. I still enjoy reading them nowadays, and I've got to say I'm a bit disappointed that Elite Dangerous never reached this level of sophistication in general.
Did Elite Dangerous even have a manual? I don't even think it did.
No, but it has one. It has one.
Does it?
In fact, a living manual that's on Steam, and it's not bad. It's also in universe, but it doesn't reach the level of the old games, to be honest. Another one I enjoyed reading. Both the manual and the strategy guide was a Microsoft Space Simulator back then.
Oh right, I never. There was a strategy guide for it.
There was a strategy guide.
I have to own that.
It's gorgeous. It's one of the best strategy guides ever.
Oh, I have to own that. I have to own that.
On history section on early space flight, and every single mission in the game is explained, and I can still read it nowadays. It's like a basic a spaceflight manual.
Oh, I have to find a copy of that strategy guide. Oh my god, because I loved Microsoft Space Simulator back in the day.
I hope you find one. I've seen one a couple of years ago for about $120. Yeah, but that's you just look for it. Maybe you've got more luck in that direction. Okay, I own one, but I wanted one. I wanted a second copy of it, but because the one I own looks a bit worn by now, and I've got a third pick, and that were the manuals for DID's F-22 Air Dominance Fighter and Total Air War.
Yes.
All manuals for both manuals for those games were simply great. The one for Air Dominance Fighter contained something from an I'm not sure if it was Chains or another of those open source intelligence companies that contained info on the planes and all the stuff. And Total Air War contained an explanation of the US air war strategy at that time. And, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I can't talk about it.
Oh no!
I've got to stop here.
No, that's fine. I share your love of the EF-2000 manual, especially, and the I forget the name of the company that made it, the strategy guide for EF-2000, but it's probably one of my favorite strategy guides of all time.
Wasn't that Reimer?
Oh, I don't remember. It began with an S. It's not Simtex though, but it's something like that. That's one of the things I will run into if my house is on fire, that's one of the things I'll run in to save after my wife and the cats is that strategy guide.
Yeah, fully understandable. I've seen it once in a video. I don't own it myself. I'm searching for one, but the last one I've seen was about $40 from the US, and that plus the
plus US
shipping costs. And that would be too expensive.
And you got to, slight tangent, folks. You got to be careful because there's two versions of that strategy guide. There's the full super duper wonderful edition, and there's a cut down edition that they sold with 2.0. And so you got to be careful you're not getting the cut down edition. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. I've heard about it.
Yeah. Usually you'll see a little banner on the corner saying it's the cut down edition. If it is one of those, so they're easy to spot, but yeah, that such great stuff. I do also love reading the EF-2000 manual, especially. I do love the Total War manual as well, but I have a soft spot in my heart for the EF-2000 manual. Oh man,
I can understand that.
Oh man, great stuff. So did we get everyone for that question, or am I missing anyone? I lost track.
We got everyone.
Spaz has something.
Okay,
I think.
Spaz, you said you had.
I've got a slight tangent.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a tangent related to both Julie's answer and Torsten's answer. Actually.
Okay, go for it.
we can't really talk about this topic without mentioning working designs.
Working designs.
If you're not familiar with working designs, they were a company based in the U.S. that during the 90s would localize JRPGs for North America. And it's not just that they localize them. They would do things like add dubbing into the PlayStation versions or Saturn versions of their games. They would make what would now be considered collector's editions of those games. They would include things like soundtrack or art book, and in a jewel case the size of a PlayStation jewel case as well for the PS1. So it would be a really thick art book, and it would come in this giant sleeve that had and a thick cardboard sleeve at that, where it would have, say, you could fit 2.5 jewel cases in it easily. And they are now, to my knowledge, they are now defunct, but they were pioneers in bringing games over that might not otherwise have found an audience outside of Japan. The Lunar series is the 2 games in the Lunar series are probably their best known, but they did a whole bunch of others that they didn't produce the games themselves, but they did the localization. And they are considered meme-worthy even to this day because of the localization being that good.
Wow,
it's also what they included.
Their website still works.
Whoa, I never heard about them.
I've never heard of these guys, but look at this.
Yeah, they were pioneers in. Actually, I guess maybe they are still around through the 2000s. Because they were still localizing stuff as far as the PS2 era.
I mean, Moby Games says they went defunct, and I mean not Moby Games. Wikipedia says they went. Oh yeah, apparently in 2005 they announced the closure of the company.
There were some other things that had happened, like they were independent for quite a while. But again, they weren't a game dev studio. They were specifically for translation and localization.
Right.
But they did a lot of that pioneering work for bringing games over that pretty much anyone who has done any sort of translation work will want to aspire to because of the quality that they brought to that.
Right. It looks... Moby Games is saying they were succeeded by a company called Gaijin Works. Considered the spiritual successor to the defunct Working Designs, and they're apparently still around, those guys. But their last game was in 2016, apparently.
So these people actually did localization properly, as opposed to the people who tried to localize the game Zero Wing and brought us the phrase, all your bases belong to us.
How are you, gentlemen?
That one was more of a blind idiot translation, as in they really didn't translate very well at all. And now, I've done a little bit of localization work, but I can tell you that localization is difficult.
Oh, I believe
localization is really difficult.
I believe
because
it.
not only do you have to match tone, but you also have to make things make sense in the other language. And if, say, for example, translating from German to English can be done mostly correctly, that works great, but syntax is very different, as Thorsten can certainly tell you. Verbs go at the end of the sentence. So,
yes.
So if you do a blind idiot translation of a German sentence to English, it's not going to work correctly. The car around the corner drove. What?
Oh.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, that sounds.
And so
I hate
if you want to actually do localization, then you're actually correcting all of that so that it makes sense in the other language. When you have people who don't really know the language doing the localization because they want to do it internally, that's where you end up with some problems, because if they don't know the language they're localizing to, yeah, it's you get meme-worthy stuff.
Now you know why some of my grammar is a bit weird.
Well, it's not weird for you. It's just English sucks as a language. It's a terrible. I think I heard a great
syntax issue.
I think I heard a great description of English the other day. It's I believe they said it's the language that happens when Vikings learn Latin so they can scream at Germans.
No.
I posted that.
Oh, you posted that? Yeah, you posted that. Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember where I saw it.
Learn Latin and use it to shout at Germans.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And I thought that's perfect because this language is stupid. It's a stupid I've talked to people who've tried to learn it as their second language, and they're like, "Why is English so terrible?" I'm like, I wish I could tell you. I'm not that good at it. I wish I knew.
It's also because the nature of English is that it's a merging of so many languages.
Oh God, yeah, that's true.
That consistency between not just American English and British English is very different, but also between different dialects within each.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad English is so difficult to learn, because it has made it fun in writing the book and having aliens trying to understand English slang. And it is just all kinds of fun trying to play with that.
Oh, that sounds fun. Okay, I got two more things I want to talk about. Well, first, I want to talk about this is kind of looking back, and then I want to talk about something looking forward. Looking back, what would you say is your favorite manual of all time, if you could pick just one? And I know it's a tough question, so I'll start. It's hard for me to pick just one, and if I had to pick just one manual, it would probably be the one. It's the reason I'm streaming a video of the game. The manual for Rules of Engagement 2, or should I say manuals, because it came with like 3 or 4 of them. And they are just an absolute joy to read, those manuals. I mean, they talk about the universe, and it's easy to forget that the Rules of Engagement games are part of a larger series called Universe. That started with the first Universe game from Omnitrend back in the mid-'80s. Rules of Engagement 2 is like the 5th game in the Universe series, basically. And so it's got a lot of lore to draw on. And it does, but it also, I mean, look at this game. It's complicated and complex as all get out, but the manual does a great job of explaining everything so even an idiot like me can understand it. Which is not easy, because look at this thing. It is all UI. That is all this is. It is entirely UI, which is great. I mean, for a game like this, it's wonderful, but it's also, oh my God, so easy to make a bad decision and die very quickly in this game. So the manuals do a great job of preparing you for this complicated piece of Starship Command that is just fun to play, but also fun to read about. So if I had to pick one, that would probably be my all-time favorite. Do any of you guys have one you can pick? If not, that's fine. We can move on. But if you have one, go ahead.
I guess I could pick the only one I could find above my desk. So I guess that's by default. It's become my favorite manual. I enjoyed the game, so I guess I call it my favorite manual.
Myst? Is that still Myst?
No, Hellgate London.
Oh, Hellgate London. Right.
The other one actually belonged to my sister. So this one is mine. It's my only manual left. I enjoy having it.
This is my manual. There are many manuals.
There are many manuals like it. This one is mine.
Well, if you guys, what about the other guys? If you guys
by default.
If you guys could choose one,
It's
what
the
would
winner
be?
by default.
Yeah, right.
Have the one.
If not, that's fine. We can move on to the next topic. But if you guys have one, I can think of.
I may have something.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, no. Well, it's actually a newer game, if anything. But
That's fine.
I'm always happy to see when I get a manual. If I'm not getting a paper manual, I'm very happy if I'm getting a digital manual, and I do love a good index. So I gotta say, well, now I'm gonna pick that one, of course. Hold on.
Yeah, a good index and a good table of contents are so important for a good manual. So very important. And I wish I've run into some manuals that are missing one or the other or both. It's like, what are you doing? Just add a few extra pages for a table of contents and an index.
So the manual I'm being very fond of, that I like to fiddle around with, look back and forth, go through the index and stuff, and that's going to be Evercron Legacy's manual actually.
Oh, that is a great manual.
All in HTML, all in HTML files on your computer with pictures and all that stuff.
Have you ever seen the fan made manual for Evercron Mercenary?
No.
It's somewhere around in the internet. It's a few hundred pages thick.
Holy crap!
In PDF format, and it's simply great. It's simply great. Yeah, you've got to look at for it.
I'm gonna try and find it. I'm gonna try and find it while you guys talk. Technical guide. What is that? Okay. Hang on.
Yeah. Okay. And then I go ahead with another manual, and that is the manual for Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. And
that's a good one. Yeah.
Explains the game.
Excellent.
Explains the universe. Yeah, it's wow. And all the footnotes and I love it.
Oh no, that's a really good one. Yeah, I forgot about that manual. I do have that one, though. I do have that manual. That's a great manual, nice and thick. But a great read.
Oh yeah.
I should put that on the shrine too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That is a really good one. Forgot about that one. Did we get everyone for this one? I think we did. Didn't we? I think we did. Okay.
Well, you didn't get me, but
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
If I was going to give an answer, though, it'd have to be a little self-referential.
Oh, is it your strategy guide for that? I forgot the name of the game.
I forget the one. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can post it.
Oh, I think I found it. I think I found the PDF. It's like 300 pages. Oh my God. Hang on a second. I think I found it. I'm going to put it in the stream chat. My God. But yeah, you wrote a very detailed strategy guide for Genesis Alpha 1. Am I remembering the name right? You just said it, but
yep.
Yeah.
It's as close as you'll get to an official strategy guide for the game.
Oh wow, yeah, that one is great.
And they tossed me into the credits for as a special thanks for doing that. So
right.
That's great, Spass.
Yeah. Thorsten, the thing I linked must be the thing you were talking about. It is 325 pages on Evercron Mercenary. So this must be the thing. Oh my God, I'm saving this. Wow. Oh my God, I'm downloading this right freaking now. Oh my God. Oh, look at this beast. So I want
fan-made, like Spass.
Oh my God, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Let's see, I'm going to put this in here. So the last thing I want to talk about is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've noticed more and more games these days are coming with manuals, digital manuals. Distant Worlds 2 had a manual, the game we covered last week had a manual, but it's kind of a throwback game, but it's a modern game, so I wanted to talk about it real quick. Have you guys ever heard of a game called Nox Archaist? I believe is how you say it.
Is it an RPG?
Yes, it is. It is an Ultima style. It is an Ultima.
I think I know what that one is.
It is an Ultima style RPG made on an actual Apple II emulator that you can buy on GOG or Steam. But it comes with a manual, a quick reference guide, and a map. And it actually comes with the Apple II hard drive and floppy disk images as well. So it's a throwback in multiple ways.
Oh wow, great.
Yeah, look at this. So right? So I have to say they've and you can buy a separate book of hints as well for for $10. Look at that. That's amazing. So I just wanted to say, I don't know. I just wanted to ask if you guys have noticed other more modern games that come with pretty good manuals, like the ones I mentioned, because they're kind of on the rise again, little by little. Like more and more people are making manuals for their indie games, even. Just kind of like demos have been coming back. You know what I mean? I think manuals are also slowly making a comeback. So I don't know if you guys have noticed any games of late that have come with manuals that are worth talking about.
I sadly didn't.
That's okay.
The game we had last week was the first for a very long time that I can remember that had something like an interesting manual. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah, that's a great manual, isn't it?
I love it. I love every page.
Yeah. I love it and I hate it. I love it and I hate it. Because it doesn't make your job easier. It really doesn't. So I guess we can wrap it up there unless anyone had anything else to add before we wrap up.
Just the games that I play now, they don't have a manual. They just say, here's the Discord. Go there, ask questions. I
do hate that. I wish they would at least have a tutorial. I think any game worth their salt at the very least has a tutorial.
It does take effort to make a tutorial.
I get that. I do get that.
I know that from experience.
No, I do get that.
But yeah, if you don't make a tutorial, then you need enough documentation so that people can figure it out.
Agreed.
And if it can't be in game, you have to put it available through the Steam page or wherever you're
100,000% agreed. Yes. And this, and I'm glad we're seeing a trend where more and more developers, at least the games I've been playing, have either pretty good tutorials or they're more and more coming with manuals. Sometimes the manuals are in the game, like they'll have a link. It'll be a button on the menu for documentation or whatever, which I think counts.
Yeah.
But a lot of developers are getting more and more into having either documentation or a tutorial, which I think for a modern game, you have to have one of those things, at least.
Or at least one, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have at least one of those things.
Wildermyth is a good example.
Oh, yes.
Wildermyth is a great example, actually.
Yes.
You have not just a link to the manual, which takes you to its wiki, which is posted on their site.
Yes.
And that wiki is very, very extensive. But in game, there's also a wiki button on every screen. Basically, you can access the wiki whenever you need it.
That's so brilliant.
You need to look up something.
That game is so brilliant. That game is those guys who made that game just astounding. So
I literally have 57 hours in the last 2 weeks in
Did we add it to our co-op? Did we add it to our co-op list? Because that could be.
No, I don't think we should.
You don't think we should?
I don't think we should.
Okay.
No, I don't think we should because as great a game as it is,
it's a wonderful game.
It's not meant for the way that we stream.
Oh.
Because there's a lot of reading. And you can't finish up an adventure in 2 hours.
No.
You need more time than that.
You can Can you save and go back, or in co-op, or no?
You can, but again, it's one of those things where the way we stream it, I don't think it would be doing the game justice.
That's not unfair. That is not unfair. All right, that's going to do it for this episode, folks. That was a fun discussion, I thought. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, guys. That was great.
I had a good time.
Next week, we're going to talk about role-playing games for our topic. There are a lot of role-playing games, so we're going to try and narrow it a little bit. We're working on that right now. But we're going to talk about role-playing games. Alibaba had 17-player hot seat co-op.
No, he's serious.
I know.
There were 17 characters.
I know. It's just great. I know. That's why it's funny. And tomorrow we're going to be returning to a game called Final Upgrade, which left early access earlier this year. And I remember enjoying it last time, even though it's one of those kind of crafting Factorio style games. It actually was easy enough to play that even I could enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to returning to that. So thanks, as always, folks. It was a great chat today in the chat. Thank you, as always, everyone in the chat for hanging out with us. Thank you, as always, to our patrons who help keep the lights on around here. And as always, thank you to everyone who's gotten vaccinated. If you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, this pandemic isn't over, folks, and we don't know what strains are coming. And COVID is not just the flu. There's long COVID. It causes
long COVID is a thing.
Long COVID is a thing. It causes organ damage. We still don't know the extent of the damage that COVID can do to our bodies. So do yourself a favor and protect yourself by wearing your damn mask, getting the damn vaccine, and being part of a goddamn society who looks out for each other. God damn it. Sorry, I'm never not going to be angry about this. But have a great have a great day, everyone. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for Final Upgrade.